Hey all, welcome to Circle of Tone. Today we have something that I picked up for next to nothing. The Zoom G2.1 DM. Does the DM stand for death metal? No. Dave Mustaine. I didn't even know this thing existed. Zoom and Dave put this out. I guess it's based on another Zoom item, which just is essentially the same thing, but with presets by Dave Mustaine himself. Now, some of the claims that they make about this system.
Okay, once again, as I mentioned before, the G2 series has a lot of different amp models. There's things like O-Tweed Fenders.
Nah. No chance. Grand claims. But I used one of the presets for this, and all I did was I adjusted the gain and the tone, because there's a one tone knob which kind of sweeps through some frequencies, and it's usually some of the presets are pretty bad, but some of these were usable. The clean ones were not that great. I've done Dave Mustaine stuff and Chris Poland era Megadeth in the past. And I've done Good Morning, and it has a preset for Good Morning, but I used the actual, what they used originally, which was a mix. They used acoustics and things like that, but they also used a Rockman back in the day with a real Fender Twin and Marshall 2203 as well. So yeah, if you want to check that video out I did on Chris Poland, here's another clip. With this, I was tempted because I know that I could use this as a preamp in the loop of one of my big boy amps. I was tempted to put it in the loop of one of my big amps and put it through speakers, things like that, because it does have a sound which I think that would be good. Much like the Metal Zone sounds pretty rough when you go direct with it, but then when you put it in the loop of an amp, it can sound pretty heavy. I have a feeling this little thing, I was going through the options on it, and it has things like whammy effects. I just bought a whammy, which doesn't fucking work. It has a lot of distortions, a lot of delays and reverbs. So it has some options, including a foot switch on it. And I picked it up for next to nothing. I think it was like $40. So I picked this Dave Mustaine signature Zoom effects pedal. And with Zoom, it came from the era where Zoom lost a lot of oomph. I was actually a really early adopter with Zoom. And I had the Zoom 9002 when it first came out. I was probably the first person in Wales to have one, because I read the reviews, before it was released, and I got it the day it was released. And it wasn't available in stores in Wales then. I had to get it from London. So I went to London to get this thing. and it was awesome. I put it on my strap. I had the controller where you change parameters on the guitar body, and I did my first demo with it. And it sounded, the early Zoom stuff was pretty underrated. And I'm coming up, I actually got the 9002, and I'm going to be doing a certain Nine Inch Nails album, the peak of Nine Inch Nails. Most of the distortion on that were old Zoom units, including the 9002. So don't sleep on Zoom, man. That was a direct, there was no cabs, nothing. So I went straight from the G2.1 DM straight into the input of my audio interface, and that's what I got. It's not amazing, but I think it does have a little bit of that Dave Mustaine swagger in there. You know, you can tell that these usually pre-programmed stuff is usually just the worst. Whoever programs the old pods, you know, they don't know what the fuck they're doing. It's usually the guys who actually designed it. So you got the boffins going completely over the top with the tones. But this one, hey man, hey, it got me going. I was digging it. And the bass, you can actually get this bass for about $120 shipped. It's a 5-string jazz style from Glarry, and I give a bit of a kickback. You can see it doesn't matter if you knock it. It's cheap, but it sounds great. So I use that for the bass. I also use a Slate microphone on this, the Stephen Slate dynamic style microphone, even though you do have to add phantom power to it. I just wanted to see what that microphone sounded like on its own without any. It's basically a microphone that can sound like about 20 other microphones if you run it through software. But this is the bass line on it. This is with no software. This is the actual microphone. I used it on bass. I used it on the wrong speaker. I used it on a really vintage speaker, a 1969 greenback, playing bass through it because I don't give a fuck. I should, but I didn't have it very loud. But yeah, I like the bass sound I got, and that will be, I'll cover that in maybe a Fat Strings Friday. All right, chaps, so that's it. Pretty, just a little bit of fun. You know, I saw it. I saw, Jesus Christ, is that how much? I didn't even know what the DM stood for. It just said in the listing, Zoom G2.1 DM, and I've never heard of it. And I'm usually up on my Zoom stuff. So pretty interesting stuff. For that price, to get those results direct, hey, I'm not hating it. I'm not hating it. As for the, it'll sound like a vintage Fender. No. And thanks to my patrons at Tone. You guys are awesome. Thank you. You've been almost getting to that 100 spot on the Valhalla sausage. I think we're on like 69. Hey, let's have a look. See how many patrons we have. We're on 69. So look at that. 58. It's gone up to 69. We're almost at the 70 mark. Well, I got to hit 100 so I can cut my damn strings. Because it's an old promise I made 2 years ago. Fucking bit me in the ass. Thanks to these guys, the patrons of Tone that just signed up. We have Benjamin C, we have Jeffrey C, we have David O, we have James F, we have Nestico, we have Christopher, we have Ed B, we have Andrew K, we have Jay Shojalin. You guys are awesome, man. You're getting me to that 100. Just sign up for $1, for the love of God. I need to get to 100 so I can cut my strings. An old promise, stupid promise, because I've been living with this. Please, dollar, Patron. I know, who cares if you don't like Patron? Just get me. Imagine how satisfying it's going to be to do the video where I cut all the strings that are hanging off. Like 50% of my guitars, they all look like this. Imagine how satisfying it's going to be. You can help me. You don't like this. Help me. Help you. Help me. Help me. Help us as a community. It's a 1959 Gibson. Got hair like me. It's all over the place.